My background is that I came into the field as an archaeologist, and I've worked for more than 20 years in the cultural sector in a whole range of organisations, from little local museums to national government. I've worked all around the world, in the Czech Republic and Turkey, in France, in Sudan, and in the UK. I am part of a wider team. Many of them are art historians, art theorists, people who work in popular culture. We also have contemporary art curators who teach into the course. So we really do bring a complete world of expertise to the student, I think. The interesting thing about our course is that we're one of very few courses that are actually based in an art school. And our students have access to the workshops and are able to produce creative work as part of their assessment. We run 4 modules in partnership with museums and galleries in London. And those have ranged a great deal over the past, but at the moment we've got some really fascinating projects with people like, for instance, Brooklands Museum, where our students are connecting their brand new aircraft factory gallery with school children. Or we have a project with the V&A, where our students are thinking about their rapid response collection, through which the V&A collect objects that represent now. We're also working with the Museum of London, who are moving location, and our students are working with the Museum of London about how to redisplay objects from their collection in the brand new gallery space. One of the great things about working in partnership is that our students get to hear about posts that are coming up in the sector, and they're often the first people to hear about those employment opportunities. And they also have a real knowledge of the partner, so they have something to offer in the job market that many other students don't have. In addition, because we're working on live projects with museums and galleries, that means that we get access to the sort of training that people often get on the job. Museums and galleries are some of the most important organisations in the world for setting the cultural agenda, not just nationally but internationally. And in London we have access to world-leading museums, and we're able to be open to what's happening right now at the cutting edge of the sector. We also face challenges in the museum sector, challenges around funding, but also challenges about the kinds of audiences that we need to reach these days. So museums and galleries need to be aware not only institutionally of how they meet the challenge of change in the sector at the moment, but also of how they compete for the attention of audiences in a fast-moving world. So when you've applied to the course, if you're successfully accepted, I'll be setting you a summer challenge. So here's an example of a challenge that I might set you as a prospective student on our course. And this relates to my own research, which involves looking at how it is that museums configure the way in which we understand the world and objects within it. So the object I want to show you is a replica object that I've got from Lynn Museum in Norfolk. So it could be a challenge for some of our audiences because perhaps it's a challenging object. And it's not necessarily an object that we would understand now, because the way in which we tend to interpret these kinds of artefacts is very often sexual. And that's certainly there in the history of the way museums have treated these objects. Historically, they very often haven't been on display, and they've been in secret parts of the museums. So my own research has been looking at the history of those secret museums in relation to these objects. So this is an object that most probably would have been worn by a child in Roman Britain. And that's not necessarily something that today's audiences could perhaps relate to immediately. And one of the skills that you develop as a museum professional is perhaps how to challenge and provoke audiences in ways that will encourage them to think differently about the world we live in today. So in order to present this object, the museum professional needs to know something about the Roman world. And why is it that this object in particular came to be the sort of thing that one might put round the neck of a child. What other objects in Roman material culture might this object relate to? And any museum will also be wanting to think about the rest of its collection. Once this object has been collected from a metal detectorist in 2011, how does that change the way in which they might interpret or think about all the other objects that they have in collection that maybe relate to the Romans in Britain? Students very often ask me what to put in their personal statements. I'd encourage you not just to think about your academic qualifications and background, but also think about experience that you have developed in the sector and also the kinds of skills that you might bring to the course, but also to our partner institutions.